Welcome to the Joy of Coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 84 of The Joy of Coding. My name's Mike Conley. We're going to be doing some Firefox hacking today. This is a particularly unplanned episode. I only have the vaguest sense of what I want to do. It's gonna be chaos, but hopefully we'll find some order. I hope. Oh, and I'm being talked to. I hope you are having a good week. And let's just get started. Let's get rolling here. So here's my screen, and as per usual, my normal preamble. This is the agenda. The agenda is a thing that you actually have access to if you're watching this video on AirMozilla. You can scroll down to the additional links section where I have put a handy link to this document. This document will update in real time as I edit it. It will synchronize. See the little wheel will spin over here, and then I believe you might have to reload the page, but then you get the stuff I put in here, and that's useful because then you can click on the links and follow me around. So a reminder that even though I've kind of got some things thrown down here on what I might work on, no plan survives breakfast. I might go off rails. I might, who knows what'll happen this episode. I can't even predict it. People might talk to me, and all of a sudden I'm working on a different thing. Who knows? It's a big grab bag, but we're gonna get through it nonetheless. Just another day doing software development. So I just want to make sure everything's working. You can hear me okay. Yes, I'm not dropping too many frames. I dropped a few at the beginning, but I am recording. Okay, everything appears to be working all right. Thumbs up. I want to remind you that there's no episode next week. So I've taken some time off. It's the winter holiday. My family celebrates Christmas, so we're going to be celebrating Christmas. I'm going to be away and driving around visiting family. So there will be no episode next week, but there will be one the week after, starting. I don't know what day that'll be. I think that'll be January the 3rd, 4th. Might be the 4th. But that's going to be in 2017. So this is the last episode of 2016. Ah! I'm hoping you're going to have a great holiday if you're celebrating stuff. But until then, let's get some work done. And what are we doing? So I've got a couple things that I wanted to look at. And this first one has to do with tab switch performance, which is a thing that if you've been watching for the past couple of weeks, if you've been using E10S, maybe you've even seen the tab switch spinner. It's a thing I care deeply about. I want tabs to, whenever you switch back and forth between them, to be performant. E10S actually makes it faster in the usual case, but there are certain cases where we won't be able to show the tab in time, and so we show this little spinner thing in the middle of the page, and I'm trying to reduce that as much as possible. And so that's what I'm going to be looking at a little bit today, a potential solution. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just trying to respond to people who started to talk to me, like just as I got going. So that's one thing I want to look at. I also got some other stuff in here that I'm hoping to look at. I don't know if I'm going to get to this actually. This is a thing we worked on last week. I've pushed this to try. I'll put a link to the try push in here so that you can check it out too. Here's my try push. These are all my try push right here, and this is the try push in general. This is to use the same select drop-down mechanism for E10S and non-E10S. This is a project that some students were hacking on. It was blocked on some stuff that I needed to do. The stuff that I needed to do landed, so now I've landed their stuff on top of it, and I'm pushing it to try to make sure it's all green. And if it's all green, I'm going to land their work, and it's done. Although prefed off, I should say. So that's baking, so there's not much to do there. So this first bug, force painting of out-of-process tab switches should work for first activation. What does that mean? Alright, so we're talking about tab switch performance, and I'm trying to figure out how best to explain this. I'm going to play a sound while I think about it. Oh no. Sounds are broken. Sounds are broken. Okay, well, while that, I'm going to reset that. I'm just trying to figure out how to verbalize this particular problem.
Here we go!
Okay, so here's the general. I may have explained this before. You might already know this, but I'm going to explain kind of how the tab switch spinner works, what it represents, etc. Imagine a restaurant, and you, the user, are a patron of this restaurant, and you sit down at a table, and the waiter asks for your order. And this is your favorite restaurant, and you ask for some things. And then the waiter goes off and talks to the kitchen, and will eventually bring you your order. And that's the good case. So in this model, imagine that you're asking for a web page from the waiter. Like in this sort of mental model, the waiter is the browser tabs, the thing that you're clicking, and the meal that's being brought to you is actually the content that's going to be shown to you in this region here. And the chef, the cook, whatever you want to call this person in the kitchen, is whatever is going to assemble what you're looking at, the actual pixels that you're going to see. That's what's being made in the kitchen. So whenever you click on a tab, you're essentially asking the waiter, hey, could I please have the contents of this tab? And then the waiter goes right away and will walk over to the kitchen, ask the chef or the cook, and then eventually bring the meal. But sometimes the person in the kitchen, I'm just going to call them the chef. The chef in the kitchen takes too long. Like there's a delay. Maybe you ordered something very complicated, or maybe the chef is busy taking the garbage out, or chopping vegetables, doing some prep when they shouldn't be, or the chef is just not prioritizing the stuff that you've just asked for. So the waiter goes up and says, hey, there's this order, and the chef goes, oh, hold on a second, I'm working on stuff. And after a while, the waiter will go, oh man, I better go back and tell this restaurant patron that I better tell them something because they're waiting. I may have refill their glass of water and give them some breadsticks, something, because they're hungry. So they come back and they go, I'm so sorry, it's just taking a little bit longer in the kitchen. They put some breadsticks in the cup and they fill your glass with water or whatnot. And that's the spinner. The spinner is us saying, I'm waiting for this stuff to show you. I ran out of time. There's a timeout. I hit the timeout, and I have to show you something. I don't want to seem frozen. So instead of just like not changing and freezing, and instead of showing you random video memory, which is what we were doing before we had the waiter, I don't know how to fit that in the mental model. We show you the tab switch spinner. So the goal is we need to either make what's in the kitchen happen faster. We need to prioritize the orders that are coming in for food from the person in the restaurant, or we need to make the waiter faster. And one of the things that I've realized, one of the things that we've done recently, and there's a graph actually that will show our work to improve things. And there was some work done back here in September. That work's actually in the beta release right now in 51 and 52 and in 53 on Nightly. That has greatly improved things. This little dip happens right here. This is a nice little drop in the number of affected clients on Nightly anyways, whenever that occurred. It's like there's a drop in all of the buckets of the spinners that people are experiencing. And what that was is we are now able to interrupt JavaScript and say, hold on, whatever you're doing, I need you to I need you to stop and just give me something. Paint me the frame, essentially. And so if we go back to our kitchen model, you can order a bunch of different meals, but there's a meal that you want to eat right now. Perhaps you're with a bunch of friends, and they're all ordering food, and one of them orders like a turkey dinner. Something, I don't know what's complicated. They order foie gras, something really complicated in the kitchen. But you're the one who's most hungry. Well, I don't know. That model doesn't work out. Suppose you order like 10 different meals because you're super, super hungry. But there's one that you want to eat first. And so the chef is cooking all these different meals, And what this little improvement here is the chef could be in the middle of cooking the one of the meals, and the waiter comes up and goes, "Hey, by the way, we really want this one meal first." And so the chef goes, "Oh, okay," and will like interrupt the other stuff that it was putting together. Maybe it was like chopping vegetables for one of the meals that you'd already ordered, and it will say, "Okay, well, let me just quickly fix that sandwich that you wanted," and then they do that and they hand it to you. So this is interrupting JavaScript is essentially what we've done. So if a background page is doing some expensive JavaScript, like Gmail or Facebook or something, they're constantly, or ads or something that might be doing some fancy JavaScript, we can interrupt the JavaScript and tell the content process, stop what you're doing, just paint me the tab I just asked for, and then keep going. Keep doing whatever you're doing before, but prioritize painting. So that's what this was, but there's a caveat. And the caveat is we only do that. Hang on. So tab parent, I'm looking at this file called tab parent. This is in our sort of process separation model. Each tab that you're looking at has a tab parent in the parent process and has an associated tab child in the content process. And there's a one-to-one relationship between tab parents and tab childs. So when you click on a tab, it has a tab parent, and then the tab child is what's communicated to, and it is what shows the stuff. When you click on a tab parent, the tab parent goes, okay, force paint. Interrupt JavaScript and force paint. Send a message to do that. And this is where that happens. When we say to set docshell is active, is how the front end tells the tab parent, show me this tab. Set the docshell as active. And some sort of like some jargon there about dockshells, but don't worry about it. What this means is show me this tab, paint it, and show it to me. And there's this stuff here down at the bottom where it talks about forcing the tab. This will send the message to the content process. Even if the main thread is blocked by JavaScript, it sends a message to a background thread saying, stop what you're doing and force paint. And that's happening here, force tab paint. But we only do it if we're not the first activation. Now, what does it mean to be the first activation? Well, a tab parent has this member, first activate, that defaults to true when a tab parent is first created. So when a tab is first created, like a remote out of process tab is first created, we have this Boolean member called mFirstActivate that is true. And then when we first select that tab, if first activate is true, then we set first activate to false, and then we skip forcing the tab paint. We don't actually do it. If we do it again, though, if we say set docshell is active again, then we will force tab paint. So we don't do it the first time. And the reason we don't do that the first time is documented. Like, that was an intentional choice. And that's because of this comment that I refer to down here. Normally set docshell is active as processed first because Node.js is running, but in the new tab case, we're usually loading frame scripts into the new tab. Like, when we first create a new tab, there's like a bunch of setup work that needs to occur, including sending JavaScript down to like set the content process up, or not the tab child and its stuff up. We set it up and we run JavaScript. And what's happening is force paint will run first. The tab child is busy like setting itself up, so the force paint message comes in, and this is in the scenario where we don't do that first activate boolean. If we just did this, the force paint message will come down first, and then there's this Talos test that is written in JavaScript that is expecting a particular event to fire, but it doesn't, because you can't run JavaScript whenever we're force painting, because we've interrupted JavaScript. So then with this JavaScript Talos test will skip a frame, and we see what's a performance regression in Talos. So I actually think we should not care about the Talos test. Sorry, I didn't mean to unzoom there. This might be interesting for you to read. I actually don't think we should care too much about this Talos test, or at the very least, we should modify the Talos test so that it's prepared for this case where the content may have been painted first, even though we haven't finished running all of the setup JavaScript. But I need to understand the timeline first, because it's possible that we'll force paint, and because we haven't processed any of the page JavaScript yet, we'll just paint blank. And the tab paint benchmark cares about showing the actual content. And so we'll have done an extra paint of blank, and then we will paint the content, and that difference, that additional workload of drawing the blank, is going to cause us to regress this test, I think. Like, I want to understand the timeline of events. When we run tab paint and we force paint during the setup of all those content scripts that occur, I wonder if we're actually going to see the content or we won't. Like, I don't know which one's going to happen. Like, maybe we won't see because when the test runs, it happens very, very quickly, and it's hard for me to tell whether or not the content actually paints. So I'd like to understand if it does, and that's what I'm hoping to do during this episode. So that was a long explanation. That was like a half-hour no, it was like a 20-minute explanation or so of what's going to go on for this test. And during that time, some try results started to come in for this push I'm doing for this select stuff. Like a bunch of builds finished. The OSX builds are, these ones are done. These are like the static analysis builds, I think. That only took like 24 or 28 minutes, something like that. The Linux builds are done, and they're running their tests, and this one already passed, which is nice. So like that's all cooking. Maybe by the end of this episode we'll have an answer. Like there's a bunch of Linux tests that are running right now, and we'll be able to get an answer whether or not we can land this thing. But meanwhile, let us not have that patch checked out, because that's what I just pushed to try. And instead, let's do this experiment. I think what's going to actually help here is the profiler. So the profiler is what I'm going to use I'm going to use markers in the profiler to sort of lay out a timeline of what occurs during the test. Now there's a fly in the ointment. There is a flaw in the plan, and I will show you the flaw in the plan. And the flaw in the plan is that it looks like whenever I attempt to get a profile with this latest pull from Mozilla Central, we crash, and that's bad. And I wrote down the information about the crash here in this. I haven't filed a bug for it yet because I want to understand it sort of first. But here's the stack trace of the crash, and it seems like one of the members that we expect to not be null is null. And I want to do what's called bisecting. I want to see where this problem got introduced. So this is like a meta problem. I want to solve or figure out this like first force paint thing. But in order to do that, I need the timeline, and to get the timeline, I need a profile. But the profile backend appears to cause us to crash, and so my first step is figuring out, well, can I find a build where I can start working because the profiler doesn't crash, and should I file a bug about the profiler crashing? Maybe it's something that already got backed out. I don't know. But what we're gonna do is bisect. Oh, select child not found. What is this? Runtime error. What? Toolkit content select. Oh. HG revert. Apparently a file got deleted that shouldn't have been. There we go. We're good. Alright, so build, and then we're going to do what's called bisecting. And bisecting means to like check out yesterday's build and see if the problem is still there. And if it is, we'll then go build before that. And as soon as I find a place where the problem is and then the problem isn't, I can start closing in to see if I can find out which exact commit introduced the problem. And there's a tool for this called Moz regression, which is a tool that if you're ever interested in figuring out how to like find bugs or file good bugs in Firefox, Moz regression is a great tool for letting the Firefox engineering community know when a bug may have been introduced. And that's usually very important for finding a fix or understanding what the problem is. It's a great way of making sure your bug moves forward, because a regression range usually identifies like who's kind of responsible for making this bug happen, this regression happen, and why is it happening? And that's usually a pretty important set of questions. So there's this tool, mock Moz regression. Well, first let me show you the crash. Let me make sure the crash still happens. So let's run my E10S profile, which has the add-on, the Gecko profiler add-on in it. And so I will do a gather a profile. Oh, hey, it works. This works just fine. That's interesting. So maybe the problem I was seeing before with this pseudo stack null pointer business, this crash, maybe I just built incorrectly. That's very possible. Yeah, this appears to work just fine. All is well. All is well. And even this is the new profiler. You can see new Cleopatra doing its stuff here. Very exciting. I'm hoping that new Cleopatra will have everything it needs to supplant old Cleopatra soonish. One of the things that we're currently missing, though, are the markers that we need. We need to display the markers that were programmatically added, and that's these little red things that on the timeline. So let's start adding some markers and figure out how the timeline works. Okay, so here's how we add markers. First, let's understand how we work currently. So I'm going to add a marker here on docshell is active, profiler marker, set docshell active, and I'm actually going to do this if is active. It's really sloppy. Oh, Dennis is watching. Ran into that yesterday. Crash in this thing. Salesman profile. So apparently this crash that I may have been interested in was recently fixed, although it appears to be under layers in graphics. Permit subpixel AA. Maybe it's related. I don't know. But I'm glad that the crash is gone. Oh, and Dennis also let me know that it is the 4th of January where the next episode will be on. Thank you very much. I should pay more attention to the IRC channel. 4th of January. Thanks for calling that out. So I'm glad to see that this crash was fixed, because yeah, look at the crash rate here. Boop, 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 and then it drops right back down to 0 on the, well, I guess that's today, so can't really trust it. But this was fixed 23 hours ago, so hopefully this will just stay down this graph. If you're curious about this graph, maybe you're like, whoa, when I look at Bugzilla, I don't see this graph. This is actually an add-on that you should install called, I think it's called Socorro Lens. Where is it? Where? Bugzilla Socorro Lens. And you should check it out. It's right here. I'm going to put a link to it in the notes. Bugzilla. I never know how to spell it. Socorro's, 1C, Socorro Lens. Boom. Check out that add-on. That adds this, oh, apparently, yeah, that was causing Cleopatra to crash, is the, was this bug. Okay, fair enough. Although, maybe it's related, maybe it's unrelated, because whenever I attached a debugger, and whenever it crashed, this was the stack. It was actually occurring here. This is probably super unreadable, but like, I was attempting to stream the JSON from the profile, and then the pseudo stack. I got bad access exception, a null pointer dereference because of, let's see, where is it? Thread. It was right here. I started to do something with msudostack. Yeah, I tried to do this right here. This is where I crashed because msudostack was null, at least during my whenever I was attached with debugging. Who knows? Maybe I just misinterpreted. I'm just glad it's fixed. So thumbs up, and I'm glad to see that this crash is fixed. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Happy, happy, happy. So I'm going to add some markers here. Doc shell is active. True. And that's going to be set if the profile, or if the doc shell is being set to active. Doc shell active, false. So we're going to have these little timeline things, and if I'm activating a doc shell, we'll have a marker that says doc shell active true. I know, spooky, right? I'm just responding to Dennis in the IRC chat. So let's see here. And then I want to say profiler marker first activate. Or I should maybe just say like skipping force paint. And then profiler marker doing force paint. I'll do it with all caps for extra importance. And let's see. Do I want to do more? In the tab child, I can add some markers as well. Force paint. Whenever we see the force paint was received, profiler marker, tab child, force paint, profiler marker, tab child, force paint, done. Okay, let's build this. Let's get ourselves a profile from this test, this Talos test tab paint. Let's do it. Some markers. Hopefully this works. Hey, tests are starting to come back green for the select drop down stuff. Linking Zool. Excuse me, I pull lunch out of my teeth. Okay, so let's do this thing. Mock. Here, let me pump up the font still so you can see what I'm typing. Mock Talos test. A. Now I'm running the A is which test I'm going to run. Like that's not the name of the test. That's the argument that says I want to run, which is the active test, I believe is what that A is for. It's really the interface to Talos is not amazing. But tab paint, I'm running the tab paint test, and then I do -- SPS profile, and I can get away with this on OS X at the very least because I think we have the symbols ready and available for us. For Windows, I think it's a little trickier. We have to like generate the symbol, all this sort of odd stuff. But I should be able to do that, and it should spit out a profile at the end of the test. And the test itself is not very long. You'll see like it kind of like opens some tabs, it'll flash around a little bit, and then it'll finish. And hopefully it will spit out a profile that we can then look at. So let's see. So first we open up a browser and shut it down immediately. That's Talos like doing some initial setup for the user profile, and then starting from scratch, and then it waits for a second for all the initial like stuff to shut down. Then we do the test, and now we're done the test, and now we are processing the profile stuff. And please actually do it. Please spit out a profile. Sometimes this doesn't work. Please, 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 please. Please do it. Just please do it. Come on. If it's not done in 10 seconds, I think it's going to fail. And then we're going to have to... Oh, yeah, it did it. Oh, yeah. Hang on. Oh, that's a terrible sound. The time for my sounds to fail. Now is the time to play, like, celebratory sounds.
Hi-oh! That's right!
Sorry if that was loud. I could not resist. Okay, so we have our profile, and if you... This is a very cryptic log output, but here it says it adds the profile to this zip file, And so I'm going to open that zip file. And there's this 750 kilobyte profile. Hopefully it's useful. I'm going to look at it. Ah! Maybe this is the crash that Dennis was seeing, or Dennis was talking about. Cleopatra was crashing. I think this might be the crash that Dennis was talking about. Restore this tab. Okay, so let me update my nightly. Actually, nightly is up to date. Damn it. Um. Crap. How am I gonna do this? I might have to use a alternative browser. Shit, that's terrible. Okay, Cleopatra in Safari. Whatever, gets the job done. Let's take a look at what this profile looks like. And it's mostly useless because I realize now that, well, first of all, where are our markers? I don't see them. I can't, Dennis, I can't update my nightly. It says I'm up to date. I'm stuck on the 19th for some reason. What the heck? Hey, here, let me restart my nightly. I'm gonna restart nightly. Default. Nightly. Check for updates. Nightly is up to date. And it's the 21st. That's actually really weird. I'm not confident. I could grab my own MC build. Why have they not rolled it out? It's probably for my own good. Well, for now, I'm just going to use Safari. And there's a little bit of detail here that I'm not showing you, and I should. So hold up. I have to do a quick fix, sort of a really silly fix to get a useful profile out of this. And that's over here in the parent profiler stuff. I need to comment some stuff out because unfortunately some of our Talos infrastructure is a little silly. And I'm at fault because I believe I added some of this stuff. But like the content process was not made aware that it was supposed to profile was the problem. So now, or it was made aware, but it was never paused, or it was never resumed. Like the profiling was never resumed. So I'm going to try and do that now. Run the test, gather the profile, symbolicate the profile, this step, and then done. Okay, I'm more confident when it works one time that it will work in the future. For some reason, I think it's because it's caches the symbols. Now, where is Safari? I just had Safari open, didn't I? Safari. There it is. Cleopatra. Got my 1.2 meg profile. That's a bit better. That's more stuff. We're going to see here. Yeah, I've got tab parent says okay, so this is very interesting. This is what we wanted here. Profiler, we're opening up the tab paint test. We start the test right here. After the tab paint, like there's an initial document load that we don't have to worry about. So maybe I'll just focus on this bit. Tab paint test starts. We say doc shell is active is false because the background tab is being hidden. We're switching away from a tab, and when we do that, we set its doc shell to not active. And then we're also saying that here at this sample that we're doing an async tab switch where we're setting the doc shell as active, but we're skipping the force paint. And then tab paint. This is when it actually paints right here. So there's like a delay of 33 milliseconds before we actually get to the paint. And what's happening in here, if we look at it, it's a bunch of unsymbolicated stuff. That's not great. Why is it not symbolicated? Oh boy. Maybe this will say why it's not symbolicated. Dilib. Oh, you know why it is? I think I need to regenerate my symbols because build symbols. Let me rebuild my symbols. I modified the binary, the Zool binary. Let me regenerate symbols because I think that's where it's getting the symbols from. That's why the symbols are not working here. But a bunch of like JavaScript is happening right here. And that's the stuff I figure we'd probably be interrupting. And then here, we actually do the paint. So the question is, do we care that we would preempt all of this JavaScript stuff? Or can we make it so that we can detect whenever we've reached this point in the test before doing the force paint, if it's necessary for all this stuff to have run? We load the URI here. Okay, so that's interesting. We might be able to. Here's what I'm thinking. Let me tell you what I'm thinking. It's probably not useful to paint the content before we've started to load it, because what you're going to be painting is probably is just blank. And seeing blank, I don't know if that's much better than showing a spinner. Maybe it is, but in this case, I'm really not sure. And we wouldn't show a spinner because we only show a spinner after a very long timeout of about 400 milliseconds. And 400 milliseconds, it's not even encompassed in this amount of time. See, the little counter over here is showing how many milliseconds I have selected. So we really have to kill a lot of time before we'll show the spinner. So what I'm thinking is, do not tell the content child or the tab child, don't force if I haven't been told to load a URI yet. Because if so, then almost certainly what I've been what I will paint is not useful. That's what I'm thinking. I think that's how we can like not get this regression to appear. Because what that will mean is that the test will start, we'll do the force paint here, the content process will receive the message and say, well, hold up, I haven't even loaded this document yet, I'm still like starting up. We'll skip force painting, we'll do all of this work, and then we'll do the actual paint here, and so the test will behave the same as it currently does. But the reason I'm doing this work is, suppose you open like a bunch of tabs, and they've all finished loading in the background, you haven't switched to them yet, and then you switch to one of them for the first time. The very first time you switch to it, because it's all done loading, we should force paint. We shouldn't be open to the vulnerability of having JavaScript be busy just because it's the first time seeing the tab. So the work that Bill did to avoid preempting all of the very important JavaScript that the browser is, like the tab is actually starting up. We can do that by making sure that we've started to load a URL. I think that's how we can get away with it. So let me prove it. So that's still running. That's unfortunate because I'm gonna probably have to run it again soon. But here's what I'm actually thinking. Here's my process. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drop this into abandoned bugs. This crash report is no longer useful. So here's my plan of attack. Pump this up. Plan of attack. I know that sounds very violent. This is plan of. I'm just gonna say plan. Plan. And I'm gonna put checkboxes because it always feels good to check those off. Run tab paint locally to get a baseline measure, to work with. Run tab paint where we immediately force painting and make sure that there is in fact a regression, the regression that Bill was concerned about, and then modify tab child so that if it receives a force paint message, that it will ignore it if we've never started loading a URL. That's what I'm thinking. And then if make sure that skipping the force paint if never loading a URL causes us to go back to the original tab paint score. And then we'll have gotten away with it, to put it like that. So what I'm going to do is in tab parent, I'm just going to, well, let's start by getting a score. So I'm not going to profile. I'm just going to get a tab paint score. I'm actually going to have the test run a couple of times. TP page cycles 20. Yeah, let's have the test run a couple of times here. Gonna get a score. Okay, so we got a score here. Let's write this down. This is the pre-patch score. This is all kind of in this cryptic log, but I'm just going to copy it and paste it. So we've run tab paint, we've checked that off, so this is the score. I'm going to put that inside something more, slightly more readable. But the part that's important is, let's see, I think this right there, 36. And I don't know how volatile that is. Let's run it again. Let's run it again and see how, let's see if we get a similar score, just for consistency's sake. So it's going to run the test. Okay, so we have another run, and the score was 35.331, which is very close. Okay, so let's say that this score is valid. Okay, now let's run the test where we let's modify the binary. So we're going to tell tab parent to not care about first activate, and we're just going to do the force paint. Okay, so we're going to build that. Then we're going to run the test again, and what we should see is a regression. So the number that we were just looking at should go up because it's taking longer for us to stop the stopwatch in the test because we're doing extra work. Okay, running the test. Test is running, la 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 la. Okay, so did the value go up? Let's find out. So we've run the test. Boop. Has the value gone up? 34. That's actually not the case. The value has not gone up. That's an interesting result. So it's possible the value, sorry, let me bring this up here. The value has not, the score, I should say, the score has not gotten worse. Either, one, the regression does not exist. I'm going to put the regression in quotes. The regression in the benchmark does not exist, or my machine is not sensitive to the, in quotes, regression, or I need, there was a fluke in this run and I should run it again. So let's do another run to double check. And if there is still no regression here, then we're going to have to change our tactics slightly, because I don't want to do all of like a bunch of extra work if we don't need to. If there's no regression here, we should just like land this and run. But if there is a regression, if Bill was right, then we should deal with it. So what I'm considering is, if we have no regression here on my local machine, then I should take the original the original central tip unchanged version of the code, push it to try and run the test, and then I should do the same thing with the patch and push it to try, run the test across all the different platforms to see if there's a regression in automation, and then a third push with my proposed solution to see if any such regression that we see in the test goes away. I'm actually oh yeah, that's what's going on. This window's too wide. Let me give it the right width here. Okay, so we're going to copy this. So here's another run. Another run. Okay, here's another run. Boop. And the score is even better. Okay. So I'm going to switch tactics. Push to try across all desktop platforms. Push a baseline and the above patch to try across all desktop platforms. And then I'm going to assume that there is such a regression. There will be a regression. I'm going to assume Bill is right. And then I'm going to do like the little bit of work, a little sort of proof of concept of my idea to avoid the problem. So let's revert all of my changes. Let's start from scratch. We're going to push to try. And we are going to run the tab paint test. We're going to run a bunch of these ones here. So in the little tooltip here, it tells me which tests are in the other category. And in this case, that's tab paints in that list. So I'm going to run that one. I'm looking at Try Chooser right now. If you've never seen this before, I may have brought this up during a previous stream, but I'm going to choose Linux, OS X, and Windows 32. Maybe I should do Win64. And then I'm just going to do opt builds. And you know what? I'm not going to do 64. This is the sort of thing that doesn't usually affect 64. And I think our access to Win64 machines is actually there's a long queue, and I want these results ASAP. So I'm going to run just on those three, and I'm going to do 5 retriggers so that we can get some sort of a distribution that we can be reasonably confident about. And then I'm going to push to try. I'll call this baseline. Come on now. Let's do this. I recently read about something that's kind of neat. I don't know if it's kind of neat. Maybe I don't know how I feel about it. The HTML dialog tag. This is a thing that there's an intent to ship for Gecko and Firefox. Chrome's apparently been shipping it for a while. I'm curious to know what it actually looks like. This is all tangential while we wait for this push to go through. It's gone through now, but I do want to see this thing. Let me fire up Chrome and let's take a look at this thing. See an example. Example. Should drop that into a CodePen. So I'm gonna whoop, whoop, whoop. Some stuff here. CodePen. Just go. Just start new pen. Okay, so HTML and then some script. Ooh, I'm just gonna copy this script here. So how do I? Hey, so this is the little dialogue. We have like a built-in dialogue thing. That's interesting, but it's like tab modal, but it like covers up the content. That's interesting. Neat, neat, neat. And there's like a drop down. All right. Whatever. Whatever. And you do cancel and confirm. Then you can close the modal. Very interesting. Leave the site. Anyway, that's a thing that we've done some kind of intent to ship for in Firefox. Okay, so we've got our baseline pushed to try. I'm going to copy. So that's done. Baseline. I guess it's partly done. I haven't done the patch. I'll call this like force paint early patch. So that's the one where I don't do this first activate part. I'm just going to do this. We'll always just force tab paint. Let me make sure that builds properly. And then I will push to try. Okay, so that's done building. That worked out. So I'm going to push to try, and I'm going to call this force paint early. Early patch. Push to try. And then the last version of the patch, we're actually going to wait. This is the part that was my idea. So we have this member variable inside tabchild, which, if I look inside the header, is called like m or first load URI. So there's some kind of like member here that's interesting. Bool, tried browser init, did fake show, m notified. Bool, did load URL init. So I believe that's only ever set to true when, so it's initially false, and then if we have been told to load a URL, then we do this step here, and we will set it to true. So this is the part where I'm going to do a little bit of profiling to make sure it's behaving properly, but I'm going to say that if this variable is true, then, or is false, then we should not force paint. If not, return. So I'm going to add a marker here. Skipping didn't load URI, skipping force paint. Okay. Otherwise, we should force paint. Profiler marker, force paint, done. Okay. And build. Build, build, build. Build, 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 build. And then I'll probably have to build the symbols again, I think. How are we doing on this test? These tests. Bunch are passing. This is all green. That looks good. Kudos to the students who are working on that stuff. All these tests look good. And on Android. Ooh boy. I think we're going to be landing this stuff soon. Fingers crossed. All right. All right. So what am I doing here? Oh, I'm going to run the test. Oh, you know what? And I undid some of my... Well, first of all, let me run build symbols again. Mock build symbols. While that's doing that, I'm going to alter this again, because I need that for the proper profile. All right. Actually, I don't know if I need the symbols. I just need the markers. Maybe I can survive without them. Let's skip for now. And let's try just tab paint, SPS profile. Let's see. What have we got? What have we got? It's 2 o'clock. We're making good headway. We've got a bunch of automation kicked off. Feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good about this episode 84. Last episode of 2016.
It's me, Mario!
Hey, what happened? What happened? What happened?
Okay. So hopefully this generate a bunch of symbols or symbolic A, the profile or whatever, and now we will check this out. I'm gonna open it in Safari because I don't have Nightly for some reason. What? I'll have to ask about that. In fact, maybe I'll do that right after this, as I'm gonna ask someone about why I've only got a 19th Nightly and if I'm alone, because maybe something's gone wrong. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at just one of these. First load non-blank URI. Didn't load URI, skipping force paint because we got the... Okay, so that's working properly. And over here, didn't load URI, skipping force paint. But if I run the build myself, and then like, let's say I don't know, let's open the bookmarks toolbar. Let's open all of these in tabs, and then I'll choose this one, and then this one, and then this one again, this one. All these things are loading, and then I'm going to analyze the profile. There was a bit of stickiness when switching back and forth between all those because, yeah, I mean, I told the content process load was it 10 pages simultaneously, and it's hard for it to do like all at once. With the quantum work that's going on, that will hopefully be made better because we'll have like different queues, event queues for each tab. Okay, so here we go. Let's see what we've got. Did we ever force paint in here? Doing some bailouts, skipping force paint. I guess I should just like look at the marker list. So there's a bunch of not forcing the paint. I don't actually see us doing the force paint. Didn't load URI. Skipping force paint. So maybe I'm wrong about using that. Let's zoom out a little bit here. Are any of these markers saying that I force painted? I see a lot of us not force painting. Okay, so this plan's no good. This plan is no good, I don't think, because let's write this down. And also a link to my other try push, sorry. Okay. So I did that, but this is actually, sorry, let me scroll up. This is actually not going to work because the message to load the URL comes down through the message manager and not via like standard straight up IPC to tab child. This means that M, what was it? What was the argument I was using? M did load URL init is not useful. At least not yet. I think that also means that M did load URL init is not generally useful. Let's see when it was added. It may have been added for like B2G stuff. Use a better function to load web handler apps. I reviewed this. So I guess this is something we have to use, but we can't. Oh, open URI, if you use open URI. But that's not. So I guess we can't use this member. It's no good. But I like the concept. I like the idea. Let's see if we can find a better one. A better way of knowing whether or not we've started loading a thing. Now we have access to the doc shell down here in tab child. Maybe the doc shell exposes like some state that we can say, yeah, has started loading a thing. Bool attribute, bool, full screen allowed. Has editing session use global list to create dynamically. Has loaded non-blank URI. Has loaded non-blank URI. That's true if we've been told to set the current URI to something other than about blank, which sounds appropriate. That also means that if it's starting with about blank, then we won't force paint, and that's no good. And what about s.docshell.h? Are there any booleans in here that, any members that I might want? Public bool is okay to load URI. Capture state. And page load is frame. Is there like an initialized? Loading site. M blank timing, what does that mean? M blank. So it means M times initialized and nulled out. Create this function uses the bit fields. M creating document. Use remote tabs as app tab is pre-rendered. M created. What's M created for? In docshell. In docshell create. Created. I wonder if this is late enough. Docshell create. Let's set a marker there. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm also going to go back to tab parent, put this stuff back. No, hang on. Leave that the way it is, but force paint, and then in docshell create, profiler marker, created docshell. Okay, so let's bail out of that. Building, 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 building. Okay, we're done here. So let's run the test again and see what it says. Okay, so that's running. Do. Okay, so we're done here. Okay, so let's look at this profile. Look at the timeline. We'll open it up in Safari. Ridiculous. How big is this? 1.2 megs. Okay, that's appropriate. Okay. So the dock shell is created before the force paint. Tabs are started. Force paint done. Did we actually paint a thing here? Here we're loading a remote script and we interrupt it. And we force paint. Then we composite here. There's a VSync and we composite here. But this is the first time that a non-blank paint has occurred. Layer, VSync, composite. Occurs here. And this is the first time it happens. Okay. And then the test ends where? Actually ends way late. Tab switch finishes here. I guess at this point we finally have enough time to handle after the create the preload browser. All this business happens. And then we do async tab switch finish. Even though I believe this is the composite that we care about. So the test should have finished here. Okay. So the problem is that we are forcing paint early, but we don't have enough information to actually paint anything that's not blank. But this doesn't look like it's very expensive, this force paint business. I feel like we should just go ahead and do it because painting, I do think not showing the spinner is good. Sure, we might show blank soon, but that's better than showing the spinner. And then we would show this. I guess we should really just wait for those Talos numbers to come in from try. It's probably the best we can do here. So we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna wait for these. Ooh, we've got some test failures. Do we care about these? No, this looks like just infra. It's probably gonna run that again automatically. That also looks like an intermittent. Just retrigger these. All right. But all the Android tests passed here. That's good. These Android tests passed. Good. So looking pretty good for this to land today. It's 2:16. What's next? This is on hold. Using dock shell create isn't late enough. Maybe there's no regression here. I think that force painting, even before the Chrome JavaScript has run in the content process for the tab, isn't so bad. I think we get a blank frame in that case, and that's probably better and will seem more responsive than waiting, showing a spinner for the tab switch or showing a spinner. So blocked on try builds. Boop. Let me put that tag there. And that work is on hold. So what else we got? I was working on this the other day. Tab throbber in tab is forever spinning after detaching a tab. I did explain this bug last week. I put up a patch. I got some review on it. And now I have to like deal with the review comments from Heis here. Heis graciously agreed to review this patch, and now I'm reading his comments on the patch. So this is bug 1317212. It's basically during a tab tear out, there's a race, and there's an opportunity for the tab throbber in the torn out tab to just like spin and spin and spin. This is not the tab switch spinner. We have so many different spinners. This is the thing that's like up here in the tab beside the title. Yeah, if you tear out, you have the opportunity to just spin forever until you like load another page. However, shouldn't we be setting mblank to false earlier? Your patch doesn't do that and still checks mblank for some of the other notifications. Effectively, right now, we try to set mblank to false once the first full page load hits. I was just saying it if we detect the state start or any later changes of a new document. Any later changes of a new document. That's a good point, Heis. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's check out. I'm going to shelve the work I've got here. I'll just shove it away. Probably never to see it again. That's sometimes what happens. Oh, actually, you know what? I have a better idea for what we can use our time for. I got about 10 minutes left in this episode. I'm going to review a patch. There's a patch that's been in my queue for a few days that I want to review. Let's take a look at it. Where is it? I guess it's this one. The one I was thinking of wasn't in my queue for some reason. Maybe someone else reviewed it. So this is a patch that adds filtering to the select dropdown when there are more than 40 items listed. There are 10 open issues. What are they? So this appears to be addressed now. And the latest patch. T. Macklebust, would you mind marking the issues that have been fixed as fixed and dropping the ones that don't apply or have been pushed back against? Okay. Just looking at this test here. So he's added a test to select pop-up that adds, I guess it makes it so that the test is sensitive to whether or not the search field is being displayed, and if so, then modifies the test to be prepared for that. And then it also does, he's added a search test, which is great. So what he's doing is he's got a generator function called perform select search test that takes some window, I guess, takes the browser, loads up a content script that will get, I think there's a preloaded select element called with the ID of 1, Here, let me zoom in here. And then he adds a whole bunch to the end, a whole bunch of options to it, so that it's very long. He selects the first, or actually the second item, and then focuses the select, and then he opens it, and then he makes sure that there is a search field, and he focuses the search field. Then he starts synthesizing keys. Oh, 3. What's in... Oh, okay. Value. So he's got this one, select ID 1, with 2 op groups, O, 3, okay. Z, third op should be in first group, header should be hidden, third op should be visible. So that makes sense to me. Second group header should be visible. Is hidden, false. Space, synthesize key 05. Hidden by content should remain hidden. Yeah, that's good. Glad he added this test. Because he's hiding and showing the items in the menu pop-up, but it's also possible that content had hidden one of the options. So let me make sure that we turn select search on, load the page. That's all good. Huh. Top visible menu item. It's all good. So I remember having a question on whether or not this should be enabled by default. Default. Do we decide at some point enabled? This preface is only running tested. We should probably make sure the preface touchscreen and reset in there. This will help us avoid breakage. Jared, are we sure we want to land this enabled by default? Or I'm going to say Jaws. Jaws is my co-reviewer. I've already reviewed all of this. This all was fine. And by content. Search minimum elements. Then we create the search input. Yeah, I was always happy with all this stuff. It's a bit intense, but I think it was okay. My search object is this. I guess that's more clear. You know, it'd be neat to actually try this out. Maybe we should bring this down and try it out. Let's try it. Let's try this patch. Because the patch looks okay to me. I'm actually quite happy. He's added tests. I've already reviewed a bunch of the stuff in previous iterations and I was happy with it. And like, let's take a look at the inner diff. What's been changed? He got rid of some stuff. Auto scroll interval. I don't know what that's about. Actually, that's interesting. Why did he remove auto scroll interval? I think some of this stuff, this is all rebase fragments. There's stuff that he did not add that are in the inner diff, because inner diff calculations with rebases is hard. We can just use CU here. Try const services equals cu.import resource gre services.jsm like on line 12. And why does he need services again? Services. Oh, he wants prefs. Okay. Let's try this thing out. Build. Let's try it out. Close off this review. We're going to end the episode. And that's 2016. I don't know if you know this, but I actually started the joy of coding at the very beginning, I think, of 2015. I remember I was on holiday, and I came up with the idea for some reason. I don't remember what gave me the idea, but I proposed it to the Air Mozilla folk, and they gave me the thumbs up. And that was, yeah, during the holiday break from 2014 and 2015. So it's almost been 2 years of me doing this. Roughly 84 episodes. I'm going to hit 100 episodes this year. Pretty excited about that. Do let me know what I should do. I've got a couple of ideas on things I could do for my 100th episode. Here are my ideas. The first one is I could dress up funny or something. But more excitingly, I might get a list of like the 10 most voted for bugs in Bugzilla, scrub them a little so that I make sure that they're real bugs and that they're like actually things that we might consider doing, and then have you viewers vote on which one I should work on during my 100th episode and like try and push it forward. And who knows, maybe we can even get it landed. It might be like one of those super old bugs from 1999, and you're like, we wanted this fixed for so long, so maybe that's a thing we could do for the 100th episode. If it wasn't too late, I would talk to the Mozilla Foundation. Maybe I'll do it next year about a sort of a year-end fundraising effort where maybe I could like collect donations for the Mozilla Foundation and do like a marathon where, you know, if I pass certain thresholds, then I'll work on a particular bug. I don't know. There are lots of ideas. I've got lots of ideas. Anyways, let me know what you think. So I'm testing. We've got the select drop down now with filtering. I'm going to add like a bunch of options to this list that I have in this W3 Schools example. That should be enough, right? These are all the same. It's like a bunch of copies. So let's see. Do we see yeah, we've got a filtering thing up here, and now I can go like Saab. I got like this big nice filter. Audi. It's probably cooler if I see it on like a real select drop down. So let's go to where's a good place where I could see a select drop down. List of countries, select drop down. Yeah, country codes. This is exactly what I want. Can I see it in action? Whoops. I just want to see it in action. Yeah, all right. Now I can do like Canada. Perfect. Bam. Or let's see. What's another good country? Moldova. Moldova? Is Moldova not listed here? Maldives? Maldives. What else have I got? American Samoa. That's pretty good. Cool. But like, it's interesting. I noticed a bug there. Where like, it closed when I didn't expect it to. Trying to just recreate that bug. Just give me a sec. Huh. Nothing. Ooh. That's what it was. I think. I recreated it by doing like a little drag. Like. Oh, weird. I can't recreate it anymore. There it is. Albania. Algeria. Albania. Okay, I think I understand the bug. If like I click down and then I immediately have my mouse over here on the click up, then like that's what's happening is I'm like quickly on mouse up after the pop-up is opened. On mouse up, I'm on another item. I don't know if that's a bug. Except that I can recreate it whenever I don't change the selection either. Alright, I've gotten distracted. I'm sorry. I just have to write this down so that someone else, some QA folk can maybe come up with some good steps to reproduce beyond what I've found here. But sorry, I didn't mean to space out on you there. But yeah, we've got this neat sort of filtering functionality now, which is kind of nice. Canada. We'd be the first browser that ships that, so that's pretty exciting. I'm going to give that an R+. I'm pretty happy with this. Not even sure. I'm pretty happy with this. I've got a nit on how we're importing services.jsm, but otherwise, I think this is great. Want to double check with JAWS though that we want this enabled by default. Okay, so that is done. We're 7 minutes over. I'm gonna call this episode done. Thank you so much for watching The Joy of Coding, episode 84. Let me just switch to my camera here. Hey, that was 2016. What a roller coaster. We're going to start fresh in 2017 on January 4th, and it's going to be a great time with episode 85. And who knows when we get up to. I'll hopefully have some updates for you on how these try builds went. Certainly they should be done by then. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So I'll be able to say with some certainty whether or not we can proceed with the plan in here. And that's it. So yeah, no episode next week. Take care of yourself. If you are interested, do rate this episode. There's a link in the additional link section, and there's also one in the agenda that will allow you to rate this episode. Let me know what you thought of it. Do let me know. I do read every piece of feedback that comes in. Have a great end of your 2016. Happy New Year. All the best to you and your families. They probably don't know who I am, but just in case, or even if they don't, just tell them a stranger on the internet said hello, and whatever you're celebrating this season, have a good time. And I'll see you in the new year. So take care. See you in 2017. Bye-bye. Nope, wrong sound. And the sounds are broken again. What is happening? Wacky Morning DJ is misbehaving. Hang on. I think it's the network. Here we go. The joy of coding. See ya.